TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, the IDF successfully preempts Hezbollah's attempt to launch a wide-scale attack against multiple targets in both the north and central Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant asserts that Hezbollah has lost much of its collective arsenal, which may force it to reconsider its options. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stresses that the preemptive strike against Hezbollah was not the end of the story. Israel stands at the ready to confront any threat from any theater, as it maintains a heightened state of alert versus the Islamic Republic of Iran and its regional proxies. Amid concrete intelligence of an imminent large-scale attack by Hezbollah, which was reportedly scheduled for 5 a.m. yesterday, the Israeli Air Force launched a wide-scale preemptive strike that frustrated most of the Iranian proxies' pre-planned intentions.
We thwarted this morning a large-scale attack by the Hezbollah terrorist organization targeting northern communities and locations in central Israel. We monitored Hezbollah for weeks using technological means and aerial patrols by Israeli Air Force aircraft. As soon as we identified Hezbollah's intention to carry out the attack, we thwarted the majority of the attack. Hezbollah attempted to severely harm the north and center of Israel, but was met with an iron fist.
Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari further revealed the scope of the Israeli Air Force's preemption, essentially destroying thousands of Hezbollah's offensive capabilities within a time span of approximately 20 minutes' time.
Approximately 100 IAF aircraft simultaneously struck over 270 targets in southern Lebanon, disrupting Hezbollah's attack plan. So far, we are also aware of 6 terrorists who were eliminated in the strikes, and we may discover more in the coming days. Just last week, we eliminated approximately 30 terrorists, including Hezbollah commanders. Approximately 90% of the targets struck were short-range rockets aimed at northern Israel. Hezbollah planned to harm Israeli civilians. Hezbollah managed to launch only about 230 rockets and over 20 unmanned aerial vehicles. Most of them either fell on their way to Israeli territory, landed in open areas, or were intercepted by Israeli Air Force defense systems and Israeli Navy ships. Contrary to Hezbollah's claims, there were no hits on IDF bases, neither in the north nor in the center.
Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant was briefed at the IDF's Operations Directorate, during the course of which he voiced deep appreciation for the troops responsible for the very successful preemptive operation.
I came here to thank you and to show great appreciation for the manner in which you function. In fact, the action to remove the threat of the Hezbollah attack ahead of time, which we scheduled for the last viable minutes, was very, very successful. Generally speaking, we saw the IDF at its best. The Chief of Staff commanded the operation with the General Staff at the Operations Directorate, where we are currently at, alongside a very qualitative operation by the Intelligence Directorate, of the Air Force, of the Home Front Command, and, of course, of Northern Command. The entirety of these matters was very accurate and very qualitative.
Jerusalem's top defense official went on to highlight the scope of success, which seemingly caught Hezbollah by surprise and significantly degraded its plans.
The enemy planned to launch many hundreds of rockets toward the northern communities. Our preventative operation effectively brought about the fact that over 50%, maybe some 2/3, of these projectiles failed to launch. This means that by our attack of thousands of targets, we thwarted the launch of hundreds of projectiles, because we look at these things in a collective perspective. Those that were launched were intercepted in the air, or to prevent their targeting of our essential territories. Subsequently, our very precise action against the unmanned aerial vehicles, which brought about the conclusion that they failed to strike Israeli territory. This means, when we unpack our operation, that was the result of intelligence and field intelligence in real time. We have brought about harm to the enemy before it could even launch, disrupting its balance, forcing it to launch less projectiles, and whatever it managed to launch, we intercept, and after that we also respond with another attack that eliminates additional capabilities.
Defense Minister Gallant further underscored the messages which the successful operation versus Hezbollah bore for Jerusalem's enemies throughout the region and beyond.
This matter includes two very important messages. The first amplifies the IDF's wide array of capabilities for the purpose of targeting and destroying the enemy's capabilities. This is a central issue. The second message, that is important for the long run, highlights our determination to conduct any operation that will remove threats facing the citizens of Israel in any theater, in any place, at any moment, and through any method. All options are on the table. Whoever comes to harm Israeli citizens will not go unharmed. We will eliminate him. This is a very clear message.
The Israeli Defense Minister went on to unveil Jerusalem's aspirations to capitalize on the latest successes of its defense establishment as Israel faces a critical strategic juncture.
When we package everything, we must look at it from the broad spectrum of this war. We find ourselves at a strategic juncture, and we must exploit the negotiations for the purpose of releasing our hostages, and through the release of hostages, to also open up the alternative of attaining an arrangement for the North, and in its continuation, to also alleviate the region. We are acting militarily and preparing from a perspective that we may not reach a diplomatic arrangement, and we are ready at any moment for a northern war, including whatever may arise from it. However, it isn't our preferred path forward, and we continue to grant a chance to the possibility of reaching an arrangement.
It is worth noting that the latest Israeli strike on some 40 Lebanese zones housing offensive Hezbollah infrastructure, in parallel to extensive degrading activities against the Iranian proxy over the course of almost 11 months, has significantly diminished the terror group's military capacity.
This action is significant because when the enemy counts the arsenal that was destroyed, his past intentions, and what he managed to achieve, it will reach the same conclusion that we have reached. Even if the enemy tries to hide and disguise its losses and explains other outcomes. However, facts are facts. You know them, the screens tell their story, and your excellent work has brought about this outcome.
Meanwhile, in Lebanon, Hezbollah Secretary General Hassans held a televised speech from his undisclosed bunker, during the course of which he asserted that the result of his terror group's attack were under evaluation.
If the result is satisfactory and achieves the intended goal, then we consider that the operation in retaliation for the killing of Al-Hajj Mohsen and the targeting of Dahia is done. And if the result is not enough from our point of view, then we retain the right to respond another time.
Nasrallah went on to label Israel's preemptive strike as an aggression, claiming further, in complete disregard to evidence on the ground, that the wide-scale Israeli attack did not broadly diminish Hezbollah's military capabilities.
What happened was an aggression, not a preemptive action. And if we were to assume this was a preemptive action, it left no impact whatsoever on our military operations today, neither on its missiles, nor on its drones, nor on its fighters.
Regardless of Hezbollah's failure to fulfill its pre-planned attack against hundreds of Israeli targets, Nasrallah insisted that his group's actions have contributed to Hamas's position in the ongoing negotiations vis-à-vis the Gaza Strip.
Our operation today, in any case, may be very useful for the negotiations, for the Palestinian side or the Arab side that is negotiating alongside the Palestinian team. And its message is clear to the enemy and to those behind the enemy, to the Americans, that any hopes of shutting down the supporting fronts, whether in Lebanon, in Yemen, or in Iraq, these fronts that are actually opened, these hopes are dashed.
Despite Hezbollah's seeming failure, alongside its diminished capacity to withstand a full-scale war versus Israel, followers of the Lebanese-Iranian proxy are evidently clinging to Hassan Nasrallah's explanation of Hezbollah's limited response to the killing of its top military commander, Fuad Shukr, commonly referred to as Sayyid Muhsin.
Sayyid Nasrallah's speech always boosts the morale and gives confidence to the supporters of the resistance and to all patriotic people, not only the supporters of the resistance. His words are comforting, realistic, and have a great sense of patriotism, and we say, God willing, there will be victory for the resistance and for Gaza. He told everyone that we do not keep quiet about our rights because this is how we were raised, and we are in this war until the war on Gaza stops. We spared civilians because our morals and values are to avoid civilians. And we will continue to avoid civilians. We have military etiquette, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. He was fair and honest in his speech.
Meanwhile, in Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to Israel's preemptive strike against Hezbollah yesterday, asserting that it was not the end of the story.
What happened today is not the end of the story. Early this morning, Hezbollah tried to attack the state of Israel with rockets and drones. We directed the IDF to carry out an intense preemptive attack to remove the threat. The IDF destroyed thousands of short-range rockets, all of which were designed to attack our citizens and our forces in the Galilee. Also, the IDF intercepted all of the drones that Hezbollah launched at a strategic target in the center of the country. We are striking Hezbollah with surprising, crushing blows. 3 weeks ago, we eliminated its chief of staff, and today we thwarted its attack plan. Nasrallah in Beirut and Khamenei in Tehran need to know that this is an additional step in changing the situation in the north and returning our residents securely to their homes. And I reiterate, this is not the end of the story.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. It is important for us to highlight that TV7 Israel is a 100% donation-based nonprofit with all of our productions available free of charge. Therefore, if you're blessed by our productions and would like to help support our daily programs such as this one, TV7 Israel News, Jerusalem Studio, Deep Dive, and so much more, we would deeply appreciate it if you'd consider making a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, as ever, I'd like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you during our upcoming TV7 Israel updates. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.